So now we have Carol's. So Carol said, I love the tree, but I wish the mountains were closer and more distinct. I'll add some cows grazing in the foreground, most likely. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to move mountains. Don't you feel powerful? So the first thing that I did was make a smaller version of this on the left, and I took out the sky. And I will show you at the end how that actually works in Pages. And then I made that portion bigger on the right. So the mountains are bigger. So you can see the picture at the top shows the original configuration. And then I put the tree on top of the mountains. So you can see in the main one here in the center, the mountains are much bigger compared to the size of the tree than they were in the little picture in the upper right there. So again, I'm going to play around with my rule of thirds and see. Now, what I noticed right away is that that tree on the left is really close to a good place in the rule of thirds. So I'm going to move it. And okay. And I'm also going to squish it down a little bit because there's way more sky than we need. And I want to take that bottom horizontal line of the rule of thirds and move it down to the horizontal that I see in the image. So see, approximately. There it is. And then I'm going to move the tree so that the tree is at that intersection. I also like that the mountain top is also at the intersection of the intersection at the upper right there. If I was doing this actual in fabric, I would actually move that point of the mountaintop to that place, but it's close enough as it is. And so then she said maybe cows. So we're looking for cows. So I found some and I put them in there. And notice how I lined up the cows also with the rule of thirds. So maybe she doesn't want 3 cows. Maybe she wants 1 cow. I like the cow on the right because the color is a nice balance to the color of the tree. But this was the first picture I found with cows, so I just used it. And the other thing that's nice is the cow that's kind of facing us is right on that intersection. So it makes a nice composition. So the other thing I didn't like was that big tree in the back there above the red cow. That was distracting to me. So on the left, I took a little photo of a portion of that. I just did a screenshot. And so if you take a look at that tree sticking up there above the red cow on the right, we're just going to cover that up. And that's going to give us a much better composition there. So that's it. So that's how the original photo on the left. And you could actually, if you want, that tree in the upper left-hand corner, could go back in there. It ended up not in here because it's actually was above where I cropped it, but you could copy that and it would be very nice to put that back in. So I also I should point out, the shadow on the bottom left is a very good compositional element because it kind of frames it. It gives you a feeling of intimacy that you're looking at this view. And it's a very good compositional element because the eye tends to go out of the picture at the 4 corners. And so whenever you have a diagonal line across like that, it keeps your eye from going out of the picture. And why does an artist want people's eye to not go out of their picture? Because if it does go out, it's going to go to the next painting and they'll buy that one. And artists usually want you to buy their painting or artwork. So you want to keep the eye in the picture. People are like, oh, I keep looking at that picture. I don't know why. I keep looking at that picture. I think I'll buy it. While they're looking at it, if an artist has skillful composition and keeps their eye basically trapped in the picture. Okay, so here's Leslie's. And so she's thinking about painting this image. So this is really cool. She wants to know how the brown dirt and the path down the hill could be replaced with grass, and adding, if it would be more interesting to add color to the trees in the woods, and should I remove the 2 heat registers on the floor? Well, let's start with that. Yes, absolutely remove the 2 heat registers on the floor. That would be the first thing. And then here we're going to look at, Leslie didn't ask about the sky, but I like to have a sky that looks bluer than white. And partly the reason the sky looks white has to do with the camera. It probably wasn't that white. Our camera does not pick up all the values that we see. So oftentimes, if the values are good on the trees, then the sky is bleached out. So I wanted to make a blue sky. So I took out the sky on Leslie's picture, and I made a gradation. The sky generally gradates down to lighter at the bottom, and then I put it behind there. So the sky is also tends to be a little bit more towards a greener blue at the bottom and a more violety blue at the top. Now that's not true 100% of the time, but it's true a lot. And that would be a more complex landscape lecture about that, but that's why the bottom is a little greener and the top's a little bluer. And you can look at this. You can go outside any day and look straight out ahead and then quickly move your eyes straight up above you, and you can see the color difference in the sky pretty easily. So that's a good experiment. Okay, so this is the before and after with the sky, which she didn't ask me about. I just wanted to do it. And then she asked about putting grass in instead of the dirt road. So in picture A at the upper left, we have the dirt road. In picture B, I took the dirt road out. That's what looks white, but there is the part that got taken out. And in C at the lower portion, I put the grass in. I'm not sure I really like that. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I'm showing you how I did it. If we look at the lower left here, picture number 1 is a picture I found on the internet with grass. Then I cropped it down to get rid of the sky for number 2. In number 3, I elongated it. I'll show you that in the next slide. And in number 4, I lowered the lowered the saturation a little bit because it was looking too saturated to me for this image. And so here's how you adjust the image on number 3. You go to the part in your graphic design program for adjust image if you have Pages, or if you have another graphic design program, you want to look for where it says constrained proportions, and you uncheck constrained proportions, and then you can drag it out. So I actually dragged this out longer than it was because I wanted it to fit in the space. And then underneath there, also in adjust image, is where you can adjust the saturation. So you can see on number 4, I desaturated it a little bit. So then I'm going to look at the rule of thirds, and on the left-hand side is the original composition. On the top right, you can see that I have moved that corner piece so that it lines up with the right-hand vertical of the rule of thirds, which I think is a better composition. So that means basically we're going to crop it in a little bit on the right-hand side. So we're going to crop in that dark and see how it looks at the bottom. That's with the dark cropped in. And if we look at the 2 compositions here, you can see the one on the right with the dark wall cropped in feels a little more inviting you into the picture. The one at the top left, that dark wall, acts like a frame to kind of keep you out of the picture. So in addition to making it a better composition with the rule of thirds, it also invites you more into the painting. And what I wanted to say about the dirt road, if she also asked about using some more color in the tree, and this is Virginia and we have beautiful fall colors, and so I just grabbed a few pictures to remind us of how cool it could look. And if this is your house and you live in it, just take some pictures when this is happening. Hopefully it's happening to your trees. But if I was going to add more color to the trees, I would address the dirt road by simply adding more color to it. I wouldn't make it grass. I would probably make it more orangey, yellowy colors. And a dirt road can be fine. It's just a little boring when it's gray and brown. But if you put that much color in the trees in the background, you could afford to do a little more impressionistic look with the color of the road. And I love the reflections of those the pieces between the windows. I love the reflections on that shiny floor. It's beautiful. So this will make a beautiful painting.